Today I am out sighting in my CVA muzzleloader and wanted to do just a quick video on just kind of the basics of this muzzleloader, and then what loads I'm shooting as far as the propellant and also the bullet itself, and then just a super basic video on sighting. And a lot of information out there on muzzleloaders. It can kind of become a little bit overwhelming with so many different opinions on what to shoot and stuff. I spent a lot of time reading, and so I just want to just kind of run through just the basics of what I'm doing to take this muzzleloader from getting a scope mounted onto it to getting it sighted in. A little bit of a backstory on my muzzleloader experience. Back about 20 years ago, I was 15 years old, and in Minnesota, northern Minnesota at the time, you could shoot a deer with a bow and a muzzleloader. And so I got a super basic New England Sidekick open sight muzzleloader, and ended up shooting one deer with that. I couldn't tell you what propellant I was using other than it was pellets, and don't know what I was shooting for ammo, for a bullet or primer. And so fast forward 20 years, I'm now in a state that I can both archery hunt and shoot a deer with a firearm. So that being said, I got this gun 3 years ago, I believe. Again, as I started reading just a lot of information as far as what you could shoot, so I ended up getting some 777 pellets, shot 2 of those 50 grain pellets, so 100 grains of pellet powder, and then a power belt 300 grain 290 grain bullet, I believe. Wasn't crazy happy with how accurate this gun was, to be honest. When I was sighting it in a couple years ago, I just get a flyer here and there. Just really couldn't get crazy accurate with it. So, and anyways, I ended up limiting myself to 100-yard shot just because that's the furthest I was confident I could hit a deer and kill it. But I got this gun wanting something that could shoot a little bit further. That's why I got the LR, a little bit of a longer barrel, which will help keep that a little bit more accurate further down range. So anyways, last year didn't end up shooting deer. This year got a little bit more time on my hands, and so I want to make sure that I'm hitting accurate and that I can shoot out a little bit further to help me have a little bit more opportunity at a deer that I might want to shoot. I decided to go with Blackhorn 209 powder. One of the things as I was reading over the course of the summer was that was really kind of the best bet was to go to a powder over a pellet. I had picked up some Pyrodex from I believe Walmart. They had hit on clearance for $1 a jug, and so I bought 6 of those. But like I said, over the course of the summer, just reading, I decided that if I was going to go to powder, I wanted to go to the best I could get. And kind of the general consensus, kind of everybody would agree that Blackhorn 209 is the powder to get. That being said, it's about $89 for a container of it. 8 ounces, $89. It's expensive, but I'm not shooting this gun a ton. Honestly, I'm going to shoot it several times today, make sure that I'm sighted in, and I'll shoot it every year just to make sure that I'm good to go before I go out hunting. But it's not like I'm going to shoot this gun a ton, and so I'm okay with spending a little bit more money to make sure that I get the results that I want. Since we're talking about the powder, this powder comes, it's called a powder, which I suppose it is, but it's actually, if you look at it, it is extremely small cylinders of black powder. So it's not a crazy fine powder like we would think of when you think of powder. And so a lot of conversation as far as how you measure the powder that you're going to use. A very common way to do this with some people is to measure it by volume. On the tubes you get, you can see it's from 20 to 100 grains it's got in here. What your volume is really going to be dependent on how compact that powder is in this tube. If the cylinders aren't crazy consistent, or they're more dense. It's gonna vary. And so if you really want to have really accurate and consistent results from reading, you need to measure it by weight. And so I got a scale and then a trickler, and I'll show you that. I'll put that in this video here. And so I measured out, I'm gonna shoot 77 grains of powder. It's kind of where I want to start. That should be really close to about 100 grains by volume, but it's going to vary. As I filled my tubes, it definitely varied, went up and down. There was some that were lower, some were higher. I'm shooting 77. It seemed to be a while ago, the general consensus was multiply your volume by 0.7 and that would get your weight. So 70 grains of powder by weight would be equal to about 100 grains by volume. That varies, but people are suggesting to start with 100 grain by volume load. More recently, that 0.7 multiplier to figure out your weight to volume is not necessarily accurate. People are saying it's closer to 80. So I'm starting with 77 grains. That's what I measured out on my scale. That's what I've got in these tubes by weight. And that's what I'm going to be shooting. I'm shooting 77, and it's equal to that 100 grains by volume ballistic chart that Barnes has on their muzzleloader bullets, the sabots. I'm shooting actually, so this is a 50 caliber muzzleloader, but I'm shooting sabots, so it's a 45 caliber bullet. Actually, I'll show you here. The power belts that I was shooting a couple years ago that I mentioned, which I'll get into that a little bit, but was a 50 caliber bullet that had a plastic piece attached to the bottom, right to the bottom, and then that would go straight into your barrel. I'm shooting this year a 45 caliber Barnes. This seems to be a very common bullet shot with really good results from my research. This Barnes Spitfire TEZ 45 caliber bullet nested into a sabot, which is this plastic piece that will bring the diameter of that out to 50 caliber, fit tight in my muzzle, and that's what I'm shooting. I wanted to shoot the 290 grain. A little bit of a heavier bullet will actually shoot flatter, just because it holds its own further down the range. You can do some research on that. They didn't have those local. All they had was 250s. So I'm gonna shoot these. Still a lot of crazy good reviews. They hold their own really well. But going in the future, I'll probably shoot 290 just to see how they perform. But that's what I'm going with right now. As far as the power belts go, I mentioned that. I had issues with accuracy. I think that has to do with the fact that I was shooting pellets. With pellets, you got 50 grain pellets. You shoot 1, 2, maybe 3 of them. Some people say they shoot 3. I just shot 2. I had no control over the load. So I shot 2 pellets. With the powder, you can do a little bit more fine tuning of exactly what you want, what works better in your gun. And so that's part of the reason that I went to the powder as well. But the power belt bullets that I was shooting, I don't know how much that affected my accuracy, if it was the powder itself, but I was not happy with how they performed on the deer that I shot a couple years ago. Shot it, dropped it. I watched the deer go down, but I knew right where I shot it and where he went. Not a drop of blood. Until I found him. No blood whatsoever. And then when I was butchering him, that bullet didn't mushroom inside of him. It actually fragmented. There was bits of that bullet really. I shot him kind of in the front shoulder, and there was bits of that bullet everywhere. So I wanted something that held up. Doing some reading over the course of the summer, a lot of negative reviews on them power belts. People say they would never shoot it at an animal for that reason. And so made the switch to Barnes. So I'm going to be shooting that over 77 grains of Blackhorn 209 powder. This is a Accura LR, but you've got a breech plug in here. The breech plug that comes with the gun is not set up for Blackhorn 209. So I'm gonna pull this out here real quick. And kind of show you the difference. So I had to pick this up just so that I could shoot Blackhorn powder. I think I've got. So the breech plug that comes with your gun is going to be set up for shooting pellets, okay? On the back end of it, where your primer goes, everything looks identical. From the side, it looks identical, but on the end here, you can see that it's just set in, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch probably, and that's where your pellets would rest. And then you've got the flash hole there. Primer will shoot through, ignite that powder, and then propel your bullet out. If you're going to shoot the Blackhorn 209 powder, loose powder, you need to get a different breech plug. Okay, and that's what I've got here. This is a breech plug for 209, Blackhorn 209. Actually says Blackhorn on the end here, but this you can see is recessed in. It's got the little bit of a drop like the other one does, but then it's drilled out. You can see that goes way in there. Side by side, there's the difference. So if you're gonna shoot 209, you've got to get the Blackhorn breech plug. And that's for ignition purposes. It just requires this to shoot the way it needs to. Let's see what else. And then you also need to make sure that you can shoot some different muzzleloader primers, but if you're gonna shoot this Blackhorn, you've got to get a 209 primer. And everywhere I read said don't get something that's like labeled for muzzleloaders. Actually get a 209 primer. You can get a bunch of different ones. Remington makes them. This is what I picked up. It's all they had on the shelf where I went, but this is a CCI Magnum Shotshell primer 209. Okay, and this should work just fine. All right, so that's a little bit about the gun itself. Again, CVA Accura LR. You need the 209 breech plug if you're going to shoot the Blackhorn 209. Get yourself a cheap scale on Amazon, or any really sporting goods store that has any reloading equipment. You can get yourself a scale, a little metal pan and funnel. You can measure that out and then fill these vials. Blackhorn 209 vials. Sell this pretty much anywhere they have muzzleloader equipment. Put your 77 grains of powder in that, and then again, Barnes Spitfire TEZ 45 caliber bullet in a sabot. Because they have to be shot in a sabot, they're actually labeled as 50 caliber. That will fit a 50 caliber muzzle. The reason I'm actually starting at square one again is because I changed out the scope rings on this. I got this used, and I think the screws were stripped out. Gosh, can't even think of anything because I couldn't keep my scope mount tight. So anyways, got a scope rail, new scope rings, put the scope on here, and so I need to start from square one, sighting it in. Best thing to do to get yourself close is going to be to bore sight it. You can get some special equipment to bore sight it. They make a tool that you can actually slide in the end of your barrel that will have a thing that mounts up here, and then you sight your scope in to the viewing piece on the back. So that's an option. You can also get a laser that will insert into your muzzle and give you a red dot downrange that you then adjust your scope so that you're lined up with that. I don't have any of that special equipment, maybe eventually, but there's a way that you can do this without special equipment, and that's going to be to take out your breech plug here, and then when you do that, you can look down the barrel, and you can see where the barrel is pointing. I'm at a 50-yard range. These targets are out 50 yards. What I did is I had a little dandelion that had gone to seed out here, white, probably 20 yards out. I just got my barrel, so that was in the barrel, and then I have it sitting here on a rest, so it's nice and solid, nice and stable. Once I had the muzzle pointing at that, then I came to my scope adjustments here and adjusted it both horizontally and vertically so that my crosshairs were on that seated dandelion. Okay, so that gets you close. That gets your scope kind of centered, so it's close, so you're not all over the place when you first start sighting in and get frustrating. Should be fairly close. So I did that, and I took one shot out of here. So one thing to keep in mind is these guns shoot better after the muzzle is fouled a little bit. So I screwed in my breech plug and I fired with no black powder or bullet or sabot in here. I just fired one primer. Okay, once you do that, that fouls the barrel just a little bit and will actually shoot a little bit better. So I did that, and I took one shot at 50 yards. I was 2 inches high and 1 inch left. If this gun is sighted in dead on at 100 yards, I should be shooting about 0.7 inches high at 50 yards. What I'm going to do is, because I want to be able to shoot a little bit further distance, I want to shoot 3 inches high at 50 yards. That will put me about 2 inches high at 100, and then 2 inches low at 150. And I'm doing that because I want to try to shoot a little bit further, and I want to kind of have it a good balance there. So I should be about right on at 125. A lot of people sight in right at 100. Kind of do what you want, but that's kind of my game plan. So what I want to do here at this 50-yard range before I move over to the longer one is so I'm dead on left and right, and then 3 inches high. So I shot the one, shoot again, and then we'll go up and take a peek, see where we're at. Alrighty, so here was my first shot after bore sighting. So like I said, about an inch left, maybe, yeah, a little over an inch left, and then a couple inches high, which is what I wanted. I wanted to be actually probably an inch higher. So I want to probably, what I'm looking for is probably to be right up in here. I actually dropped it down an inch, and I think I actually might have done that on accident. So I'm gonna adjust that and see if we can't land one more in there. If I can get a shot right up in here, that's still good left and right, then we'll move over to the 100-yard range. All right, so I'm back at the table now. So I'm gonna break open the barrel, take my used primer out, and then say with Blackhorn, it burns a lot cleaner than pellets. That's another reason to use a powder, especially Blackhorn 209, over pellets, just because it burns a lot cleaner. You get less fouling in the barrel, don't have to clean it as much. Say you can shoot several shots between cleanings. That being said, I'm sighting in, so I'm going to swab it every shot. Once I get it sighted in, I will definitely shoot without cleaning, just to make sure that it's accurate from shot to shot after that. So I got a nice clean barrel now again. So I'm gonna go ahead and stick the breech plug back in. Nice thing about these guns is this breech plug will come, you put it in and take it out without any tools. All right, I'm gonna change the camera angle here. So breech plug's back in. I'm gonna grab a vial of powder, again, 77 grains. Not gonna stick the primer in yet, but I'm gonna close the barrel. Stick this gun, let's see here. All right, I just got the gun right here, barrel up. I'm gonna open up my powder. You don't need to put anything in before the powder. Just make a little bit of an OK sign or whatever over the barrel, end of the barrel, so I don't lose any powder. Just dump that in there, make sure it all goes. Tap it. I'll make sure that the powder is level in the bottom of sitting above the breech plug. Got my powder in. Grab another sabot here. Just nest your bullet in the sabot. Get that started. And then I've got this tool to help you get it started here. Just push that in. And then I'll use this just to get it seated down in there just a little bit. And then take the ramrod that comes with your gun and just work it all the way down in. Okay, now with the powder, once you feel it hit, you need to pack it down in there, okay? If you're shooting pellets, you don't want to crush the pellets with the ramrod, so you're just gonna push it in there and feel it seat firmly, and that's all the further you're gonna do. So break your barrel open. Take my 209 primer, get it seated right where it needs to be. That gun is loaded. As soon as I pull the hammer back, it's gonna be ready to shoot. Okay, there's no safety on these guns. That hammer is, if it's back, it's in the firing position. I'm going to make an adjustment. I wanna go up. I'm gonna go, it's a 1/4 inch at 100 yards of adjustment per click. I'm at 50 yards, so it's gonna be double that. So so every 8 clicks should be an inch. I just adjusted it 16 clicks. Should be right, as long as where I was at wasn't, you know, shooting low wasn't me. I think I made the adjustment wrong last time, but we'll find out here. All right, take a shot. That put me right up on that tan line that I wanted to, as far as height, right where I wanted to be. About 3 inches high at 50. I did hit just a little bit left. That could be me. So I'm going to pack up my stuff, move over to the 100-yard range, and see where we're at. I'm down at the 100-yard range now. I've got a target down, sitting there. Actually, I'm gonna range this. Should be 100, but just make sure. Yeah, 102, so close enough. All right, I actually got on my cardboard target, I've got a high visibility target, so maybe be able to see where I hit from here, but I'll probably take a walk up there anyways. Not a bad idea to let the barrel cool a little bit. So, all right, I'm gonna load up, take a shot. All right, I definitely am looking all right, left and right, but I'd say I'm probably 6 inches high right now. Let's go take a peek. I hit right here, so yeah, I'm 5 inches high, and then just a little bit right. I'm a little bit surprised because I thought I should be down further. Again, if I was 3 inches high at 50 based on the ballistics on that Barnes, I should have been about an inch lower at 100 than I was at 50. So I'm probably going to take another shot, make sure it wasn't me. But if I'm right up close to there again, then we'll make some adjustments. All right, guys, that shot almost went in the hole of my previous shot. So I am an inch right, and 5 inches high from the center of the bullseye, which I wanted to be 2 inches high. That'll put me right on at 125 and 2 inches low at 150. Okay, so now for some scope adjustments. Now I'm at 100 yards, so every click should be a 1/4 inch. I want to come down, what did I say, 3 inches? I'm 5 inches high. I want to come down 3 inches, so I'm going to drop it by 12 clicks. Three inches there. And then I want to come left an inch, because I'm consistently an inch right now. So I did 4 clicks there, should be an inch. That is exactly where I want it to be. I am dead center as far as left and right is concerned. And about 2 inches high. So that's, with the adjustments I made to my scope, that's where I would have expected that bullet to hit. So we'll walk up there, I'll show you where I'm at. Here was, I think this was my first shot and second shot. So grouped them right up here, 5 inches high, an inch to the right. Yeah, so I'm 3 inches high, so I would like to be probably right down by this 10 maybe. That would be about 2 inches high. So I might drop it down just a little bit. I did drop it down about 3 inches though. Maybe I need to go another inch. All right, so I got this target set up here at 200. From the center of the bullseye to the top of the blacks, 9 inches. Looking at the ballistics, I just pulled it up. I should be sitting at, if it's zeroed in at 100, I should be sitting about 13 inches low at 200. So if I aimed here, I should hit down in here, but I'm sighted in 2 inches high, 10, 11. So I should be about 11 inches low. And so I'm gonna aim at 11 inches high just to see where we're at. So 9, so I'm gonna aim right up in here, okay? And that should put my shot close to there. I don't know, we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm optimistic, but let's go. I think it's a bullseye. If it is, I'm so impressed with this powder and these loads. Let's, I gotta be done, but let's go up and grab that target. Look at that, guys. I mean, this is, I mean, look at that. 3 inches high at 100. It's supposed to drop 13 inches based on the ballistics on the back of that pack of bullets from Barnes. So I got a span of 9 inches, so that's 9. So I aimed right here. I aimed right at that black mark. All right, guys, so I am just doing the cleanup on my gun. So I'm gonna just talk and just kind of a little final review on this stuff. So final thoughts on the Blackhorn 209 and these Barnes Spitfire TEZ 250 grains. So I kind of in a little bit of a hurry. I gotta get my kids. I will just say I ran through a patch, dry patch, real quick, and just running the dry patch through, it's crazy how clean my barrel looks. I mean, I'm gonna clean it with some solvent or this bore blaster, but heck, it is. I mean, it looks shiny, just shiny. It looks like it's clean. So that Blackhorn shoots so much cleaner than them pellets, making cleaning your gun such a breeze. If you're just starting out, muzzleloader, I'm assuming similar results with other muzzleloaders, but if you've got a CVA muzzleloader, whether it's a Wolf or an Optima or Accura, my recommendation would be to skip the pellets. They seem simpler to load. They are. You pop them in, doesn't take much work. That being said, between shots, when you're done shooting, tons more time to clean than this. They're just, the following's awful. It doesn't clean up easy. So I would just strongly recommend skip the pellets, get yourself some Blackhorn 209, a scale, and then a little measuring pan and funnel. Super, not expensive to get that stuff. Any place they have reloading equipment. I pick my stuff up at Fleet Farm. Measure out 77 grains of powder by weight. Fill your vials. Pick up some Barnes Spitfire TEZ 250 grain or 290. Pick up yourself some 209 primers. Go to the range. Stick your scope on there. Bore sight it like I mentioned. Take it out the breech plug. Bore sight it and get it close. Start out at 50 yards. Get comfortable with shooting. And then I think I shot 7 times today. And after 7 shots, sitting 3 inches high at 100 and bullseye at 200. So anyways, that is the kind of the basics of this gun. I'm an archery person. I hunt archery. That is my main thing. I think the information I've given you here will get you started and kind of weed out a lot of the information. There's a lot of really good information out there, probably better than I'm giving you, more thorough, but based on everything I read and researched over the past several months, this is what I came down to. So hopefully this video has helped you. If you got any questions, feel free to post them in the comments below. Be happy to help you, kind of give you some more information as far as my process, and hopefully that will help you get started down the road of muzzle loading. So, all right, stay tuned for more videos in the near future. Hunting season is right around the corner.